There are two stories about XRP floating around right now, and only one of them is actually true. Story number one, the one with the scary red thumbnails, says the Fed just dropped a nuke. It's over. Panic. Sell everything. Story number two says the exact opposite, that over the weekend, XRP's single biggest roadblock in a year quietly got cleared. So which one really happened? Let me hand you the tiebreaker. A number. A real one, with actual money riding on it. In just 3 days, the odds of the biggest crypto law in US history passing this year jumped from 32 to 43. It moved. Something happened. And it's the exact thing those Fed nuke videos are quietly hoping you don't notice. So let me show you what they missed. While everyone else was busy being scared, let's dig in. Real quick, from me to you, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. And I'll keep it honest today. There's real good news here, and there's a real caveat, and I'm gonna give you both. No doom, no fantasy, just the straight picture. Never risk what you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research. Cool? Alright, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crypto with BHW, where we tell it to you straight, with heart. Grab your coffee, get comfy. Because in the last 24 hours, something genuinely important happened for XRP. And it's almost the opposite of what the panic channels are telling you. Let's go. Alright, let me give you the actual news first, because the timing here is fresh. Like last night fresh. On the evening of July 20th, President Trump personally signed off on the ethics language for the Clarity Act. And the White House sent that language over to Senate Republicans. Now, if you've been following along, you know that ethics provision has been the thing, the one wall this entire bill has been stuck behind for months. And last night, negotiators are calling it the bill's last major obstacle before a Senate floor vote. Cleared. That's the headline. Not the Fed nuked XRP. The Fed didn't say one word about XRP. I checked. The real story is that the biggest logjam in the most important crypto bill in US history just broke. And the market noticed, even if the thumbnail makers didn't. Remember that number from the intro? On the prediction markets, where people bet real money on outcomes, the odds of Clarity becoming law this year jumped from around 32% on Friday to roughly 43% by Monday. That's a double-digit swing in a weekend. That doesn't happen for nothing. That happens when something structural changes. And something did. So before we go 1 inch further, let's kill the scary narrative dead. The Fed did not drop a bomb on XRP. What actually happened is that XRP's clearest catalyst in a year just got a serious green light on its biggest sticking point. That's the truth. Now let me show you exactly what changed and why it matters so much. Because to understand why this is such a big deal, you've got to understand what this fight was actually about. And spoiler, it was never really about crypto rules at all. Okay, here's the part almost nobody explains properly. So let me make it simple. The Clarity Act itself, the actual crypto rules, was basically done months ago. Who regulates what? The SEC versus the CFTC split, protecting customer funds, the DeFi safe harbors, all of that agreed on, finished. The thing that jammed the entire bill for months wasn't crypto at all. It was one ethics provision, a conflict of interest rule about how the president, the vice president, and members of Congress can profit from crypto while they're in office. And why was that so hard? Because of one number we've talked about before. President Trump's own financial disclosure showed roughly $1.4 billion in crypto income, tied to things like his meme coin and his family's crypto company. So Democrats, led by senators like Ruben Gallego and Angela Alsabrooks, dug in and said, "We're not passing rules for this whole industry unless there's a real provision stopping officials from cashing in on it while they write those rules." For months, that was a brick wall. The White House didn't want language that boxed in the president. Democrats wouldn't move without it. Total standstill. So what broke it? Last Thursday, Trump sat down in the Oval Office with a small group, including Senator Cynthia Lummis and Senator Bernie Moreno, two of the bill's biggest Republican drivers. And by Monday night, they'd struck a deal, an ethics package the president signed off on, restricting top officials from profiting off digital assets while in office. That's the compromise. That's what cleared last night. So the wall that stood for months, it just got a door cut into it. That's genuinely big. Now, you didn't come here for a politics lesson. You came for XRP. So let me connect this directly to your bag, because this one law matters to XRP more than almost any coin out there. Here we go. Alright, this is the part that makes it personal, so let me build it clean. For years, the single heaviest weight on XRP has been one question. What is it, legally? A security? A commodity? That fog is what kept exchanges cautious, kept big institutions on the sidelines, and dragged Ripple through years of court. The Clarity Act is literally built to clear that fog. It hands most crypto oversight to the CFTC, leaves the truly securities-like stuff with the SEC, and finally gives an asset like XRP the one thing it's never really had: legal certainty. And Ripple itself is not staying quiet about this. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, has been publicly urging lawmakers to get this done, warning that voting against clear rules just leaves the gaps open for bad actors. And Summer Mersinger, who runs the Blockchain Association, actually said she expects a floor vote could come this very week. These aren't hype accounts, these are the people in the room. Quick one before we go deeper. Did you know it was the ethics fight, not the crypto rules, that stalled this whole bill for months? Most people have no idea. Type yes or no in the comments. I really want to see. So think about what's actually on the table for XRP. If this passes, the legal cloud that's hung over XRP since the beginning finally lifts. Exchanges relax. Institutions lose their too risky excuse. The door that Ripple spent years building toward full institutional adoption swings open. This isn't a random headline. For XRP specifically, this is the piece. And last night, the biggest thing blocking it moved. That's why I'm genuinely fired up. Not because of a price candle, but because of the foundation. And here's the thing that makes the timing even better. Even if Washington somehow fumbles this, the rest of the world has stopped waiting. And that pressure, it's working in XRP's favor. Let me zoom out. Okay, step back with me, because this is the part that makes me optimistic no matter what happens in the Senate. The United States is not operating in a vacuum here. The rest of the world has decided crypto is the future, and they are moving fast, whether America keeps up or not. Look at Japan. They just reclassified crypto, including XRP, as a legitimate financial asset, the same legal category as stocks and bonds. That's the third largest economy on Earth. Done. And they're far from alone. Around the world, across Asia, across Europe with its MiCA framework, governments are racing to build the rules that let this technology flourish. Nobody wants to be the country left behind, holding a rotary phone while everyone else went digital. And here's why that global race matters for us specifically. It puts enormous pressure on U.S. lawmakers. Because every month America hesitates, another major economy plants its flag. And Washington knows it. Even President Trump has framed Clarity as a way to get ahead of China in the crypto race. That's a message that actually resonates across both parties. So the global momentum isn't separate from the US bill. It's fuel for it. So even on a day when the panic crowd wants you scared, zoom out and look at the actual board. Japan's in. Europe's in. America just cleared its biggest hurdle. The direction of the entire planet is one way. And XRP, built from day one to move value across borders, sits right in the middle of exactly that shift. That's not doom. That's the opposite of doom. So let's bring it all the way home, the honest scorecard. What's real? What's still a risk? And yes, what about that Fed stuff everyone's yelling about? Let's handle all of it, straight. All right, let me give it to you straight, the way I'd tell a friend across the table. First, the honest caveat, because I promised you both sides. Trump signing off clears the Republican half of this. But here's the truth. The Democrats haven't even seen the final text yet, and none of them have signed on. To pass, Republicans still need at least 7 Democrats to cross over. And Majority Leader John Thune still has to actually find floor time before the recess around August 7th. So 3 things have to happen in order. The text drops with the ethics language, Democrats accept it, and Thune schedules the vote. The odds are up, but at roughly 43%, this is still a coin flip. I'm not going to lie to you and call it a done deal. It isn't, but the direction is up, and that's real. Second, let's handle the Fed, since that's the scary word of the day. Here's the honest truth. The Federal Reserve did not do anything to XRP. Nothing. Is there real macro uncertainty? Inflation? Interest rates? Oil? The Middle East? Yes, absolutely, and it's worth watching. But that's a headwind for every risk asset on Earth. Stocks, real estate, all of crypto. Not some targeted nuke aimed at XRP. Framing normal macro pressure as an XRP-specific bomb, that's how you get scared into selling the bottom. Don't fall for it. Respect the macro, but don't let a thumbnail rewrite reality. So what do you actually do? You watch the real signals, not the screaming ones. Watch for the revised bill text to drop. Watch for the first Democrat to publicly back it. Watch whether Thune puts it on the floor this week. Those are your dominoes, not fake Fed tweets, not red arrow thumbnails. And you stay grounded, hopeful about the breakthrough, honest about the odds, and calm through the noise. Because the people who win in this game aren't the loudest or the most scared. They're the ones who can tell the difference between a real catalyst and a manufactured panic. Zoom out one last time. A couple years ago, XRP was fighting for its life in a courtroom. Last night, the biggest hurdle to its clearest catalyst in years just fell, and the odds are climbing. That arc only points one direction over the long run. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. So here's where I'll leave you, fam. 2 stories, and now you know which one is real. 1 hurdle down, a few to go, and a community that reads the facts instead of the fear. Whatever these next couple weeks bring, green or red, we walk through it together, clear eyes, steady hands, because that's what we do here. If this cut through the noise for you, do me a favor. Drop your honest take below. Do you think they get it done before August? I read every single comment. This has been Crypto with BHW, where we tell it straight with heart. Stay ready, stay hopeful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.